we go. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Hillary. I'm a product manager at Kickstarter, and I'm also a volunteer at BPMA as a co-director of events along with Sandra, who's on the call. We are going to have a panel today on mentorship and coaching, and specifically with an angle of how these things are beneficial for product managers or other product professionals. So we will keep it pretty structured today. We've got a bunch of questions and we've got 4 panelists, so lots to cover, and I definitely want to make sure we have enough time. So quick note, BPMA is Boston Product Management Association. We're a professional organization in the greater Boston area, but we definitely have folks come from all over to different events. And we're dedicated to career development of product management and product marketing professionals mostly, but we have lots of folks join from UX, engineering, product owners, marketing, all kinds of tangential or related roles, people who might be students interested in breaking into PM. So welcome everybody. So if you aren't familiar with us, you can check out our website. We've got events like these that are virtual. Occasionally we'll have an in-person event near Boston. And then we've also got a blog online with different product related topics and articles. And then we've got a mentorship program and a job board and lots of other offerings. So check us out if you're interested in either mentorship or a membership to BPMA. And then quick thank you to our sponsors and partners. So the 3 at the top are our main sponsors. Definitely check them out. They have a lot of connections to different job openings, resources for PMs or other product professionals. So we've got Pragmatic Institute, NDT, or New Dimensions in Technology, and Product Board, and then a bunch of partners that we connect with as well. And then a quick note on upcoming event themes. We try to do a monthly theme, and we have the event itself and blog content and other value add from BPMA kind of be centralized around each of these monthly themes. So this month is mentorship and coaching. Next month will be product pricing. And then November will be product marketing. We don't yet have a topic set in stone for December. As part of these events, we like to send out a little survey afterwards to get your thoughts and suggestions on topics you're interested in learning about. So for example, last month was AI. So definitely fill out that survey at the end if you could, and maybe your suggested topic will be our December theme. Okay, if you never joined one of these events before, feel free to put your camera on if you'd like. We want this to feel like a community and, give you a chance to meet people in the product field in the area. Not required if you're eating lunch. We know we schedule it around lunchtime. Feel free to go off camera. And then networking too. So if you're comfortable, feel free to share your information in the chat. If you want people to reach out or connect with you on LinkedIn, you can include your LinkedIn profile, your name, your title, where you work or where you're attending school, and where you're based. So like I said, I'm currently a PM at Kickstarter. I have worked in that industry, which is crowdfunding, as well as ed tech and the staffing software industry. And I'm based south of Boston in a town called Hull. And then ask questions in the chat as we go. So we'll have a Q&A section at the end if we have time, but also as you think of things, feel free to drop a question in the chat and feel free to respond to one another too. All right, and now I'm going to introduce our panelists for today. We've got 4 great panelists, wide variety of experience. They are a good mix of mentors and mentees in the BPMA mentorship program. And we're going to ask about their perspectives on mentorship and coaching. So Igor, Melissa, Alex, and Martin are our panelists, and we're going to just pause for a second and do a little bit of introduction. So to start, let's just ask if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, your name, where you're from, your current role, and in industries or roles you've worked in the past. And I'm just going to go in the order I'm looking at. So Igor, if you don't mind starting, that would be great.
Sure. Yes, I'm Igor Shrebman. I came from Moscow, Russia in '92 to New York City first. And then the same year I moved to Waltham because my first company, Parametric Technologies, was in Waltham, and it was the only town I knew in Massachusetts. So that was where I moved from New York, and 3 years later, I moved to Needham, where I live since the end of '92. Centrally located, which is very convenient. Currently, I work as a senior product manager, even though recently I had a role in a very large retailer as a director of product management, trying to revive the company, but big company located in Chicago finally went bankrupt, and I'm no longer with that particular retailer, but had experience working in several regulated verticals in financial services, in insurance, in healthcare and pharma, and lately for many years for data-driven marketing, software as a service platforms. So that's a short story about me.
Thank you. And then Melissa.
Hello, I'm Melissa Appel. I live in the Boston area. I grew up here, but I lived elsewhere briefly. So I am a coach for product management leaders at Product Culture. I do one-on-one coaching, team upskilling, and hiring. And I also just wrote a book called Aligned Stakeholder Management for Product Leaders. Available now on Amazon. Before that, I spent 20 years in product management at companies of various sizes and stages, mostly in B2B. And most recently, before I started coaching, I was at Wayfair for about 5 years as a director of product management in their warehousing technology team.
Great. And if Melissa seems familiar, it's because she's been a speaker before at BPMA. Including at our June event in person. If anyone was there, she did one of the breakout groups. And then we have Alex.
Hi everyone, Alex Coral here. I'm doing product manager for more than 15 years. Beforehand, were a number of engineering positions across hardware, software, primary startups. In my recent roles, I was working a lot with startups, building their product management culture, understanding how the startup product management in startup can develop in something that will work according to the modern product management practices and build the right infrastructure for the company's growth. I come primarily from healthcare, although I work across multiple industries as well, climate tech, telco, and many others. And I'm based in Sudbury, Mass. That's me.
Okay. Thanks, Alex. And then last but not least, Martin.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, my name is Martin Gupta. I work as a product manager for the C Shop. I'm based in Boston, Massachusetts. And before I became or transitioned into the product management field roughly 5 years ago, I worked as a mortgage loan officer in the German banking industry, and then transitioned there to product management to launch a iOS and Android app so people could open up their checking accounts, which was a great success. And I think I joined BPMA 2 years ago, roughly, and loved the networking aspect. And I'm one of the mentees here.
Great. All right. Thanks, everybody. Forgot to switch this slide, but and then the last question here in this sort of introductory section is if you could briefly tell us a little bit each about what experiences you've had with mentorship or coaching programs, whether at BPMA or outside of it. And then, were you the mentor or the coach or the mentee? And we'll start again with Igor.
Yes, thank you. I actually had both mentoring and coaching experience. As a certified Scrum professional, I've done Scrum coaching on the job at several organizations. And for Boston Product Management Association, I had 2 mentees so far, and I'm tremendously enjoying this experience. So one was more junior and new to product management role, and coming from other industries. So it was helpful according to her recommendation she put on LinkedIn for me. And my current mentee is a director level product manager, but with experience in industries, with different industries. So we mostly have discussions and conversations and exchange ideas and tips and tricks. But he mentioned that, for example, a mock-up interview that we had for him was very helpful. So I'm trying to help in any way and form that I could, sharing experience in the industries where I worked. And I consider it's a mentoring, that what this program is for.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a great mix of experience. Melissa, what about you?
So I have actually been involved with the BPMA mentorship program since I think like 2016 or something. Both as first as a mentee, then as a mentor, but I've also been part of the organizing committee, and I was briefly on the board of BPMA as the director of mentorship. I've also participated in a number of other mentorship programs through Lenny's friends, through various companies I've worked at. So I'm big fan of mentorship programs. I think that both sides get a lot out of it. So
Awesome. Thanks. And then Alex.
Yes, so for me, my experience with mentorship started a little bit later than Melissa's, 17. And my first program that I was mentoring was with Startup Accelerator, Mass Challenge. Since then, I was working with multiple startup accelerators, working with startups and trying to help them. And it's also corresponds to what Igor said, trying to giving back and help companies and product managers in their journey to become better. I've been involved with BPMA mentorship program for the second cycle right now, and I'm enjoying being on the both world, both mentee and mentor. And it's been a good experience for me so far.
Glad to hear it. And then Martin.
So I'm pretty new to mentoring, so I don't have any prior mentoring experience, neither as a mentee nor a mentor. And I started my mentorship through BPMA in June 2024, and it's been a great experience thus far. I did it for professional development reasons, and it really helps me like sharing honest feedback, because I always had the feeling when I do an internship, an interview, that I hit a wall, that I do not like get the stuff across that I wanted to. And so, yeah, this mentorship program helps me with improving my career.
Awesome. And it sounds like maybe there was an issue with screen sharing. Are you able to see this?
Yes.
Yeah, we can see.
Yes, we can see the.
Cool. Okay, so let's chat a little bit about what exactly mentoring is and what coaching is. For these next sections, I'll kind of bop around and ask a couple of panelists for each question. So the first question we have here is, what is a mentor exactly? So for folks who maybe have never done this, what's a coach and how might they be different? And are there any other kinds of supportive partnerships, I'll call them, that we should know about or be aware of? So an example might be a sponsor is another type that people hear of sometimes. So yeah, I was just starting about like, what is a mentor from your perspective? And I'll go to Melissa first.
So I am a professional coach, so I can talk a little bit about maybe what the difference is. But I wanted to also share kind of my first experience with being a mentee. I was sort of looking for some advice, trying to figure out whether I should go the UX or the product route. And I reached out to somebody I had met like at a conference, and she agreed to talk with me about my issues. And I'm like, this is amazing. Is this like a thing that people do? And so I think ever since then, as I got further in my career, I'm like, I wanna give somebody that experience. I wanna like respond to somebody and actually give them 30 an hour of my time to kind of help them out, because I feel like it's kind of pay it forward. So the way I think about mentorship is like, there's like a mentor, advisor, and coach. I could also talk about sponsorship. So mentor is sort of like, here's my experience. I'm a little bit further along the road than you are. I have some examples that might help you. An advisor is sort of like, well, here's what I would do in your situation. And a coach is more like, have you thought about X? And so if you think about like a sports coach, right, they're not playing the game for you. They're giving you tips, they're giving you advice, they're helping you kind of understand what you're doing and what you might do differently, but really through a lot of questioning. So in my work as a coach, I would say I do all three together, depending on what somebody needs, right? I might have relevant experience. I might just be like, hey, this is what I think you should do in this situation, or I might help them work through it on their own, depending on what they need. So generally, a mentor is somebody who's kind of freely giving their time, and an advisor or coach is usually somebody you would pay to help you out. And then a sponsor, difference between like a mentor or coach and a sponsor is, I would say a sponsor is actively looking for opportunities for you to give you those chances to do better. So like within a company, like your manager can be like a mentor helping you out, or a coach, helping you figure out what to do. Or they can also be a sponsor, which is like, hey, I have this giant presentation. Why don't you help me with it? Or like, maybe you can do a couple of slides here and give you some visibility. So sponsor is sort of actively looking for opportunities for you. That's how I define it.
Got it. Those are really useful distinctions. I hadn't thought about the paid portion being an interesting differentiator. And then also maybe a note to add too is that you could have different people in all of these roles, right? Like your manager might be your mentor, but might not be your sponsor. Maybe there's someone better suited at your organization to take that role.
And you don't have to just have one. Like
Yeah.
you can have multiple mentors for different, like you could have a mentor who really knows about your industry. You could have a mentor who's a product management person. You could have a mentor who's like a manager who can help you with that. So it doesn't have to be just all in one.
Yeah, it's a great point. And then Alex, what about you? Your perspective on just kind of what a mentor is?
Yes, so Melissa is listed everything from her word, and maybe the only thing I can add to that incorporate words, sometimes you can be assigned to mentor or definitely assigned to sponsor, someone who can help you to overcome some of the obstacles that you have in your current position. And it's great, and places of work that use mentors and sponsors for their employees. Unfortunately, still rare, but there's coming more and more places like that. Talking about multiple mentors, also a concept of kind of directory board that you can assign to yourself, and it's also a very neat perspective that allows you to have your ex-managers as a mentors, people who are doing the work that you want to achieve later on and who can guide you into those positions. There is also someone who is more sensible than you, touchy-feely, and you want to connect with those people and understand better what you can learn from them. So working with multiple mentors, it's definitely something that helps. And that's, by the way, we will still get to benefits of BPMA program, but having here different mentors every time you are signing to this program kind of achieves the same goal. You are learning from different people and different perspectives on their life.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
And,
Mhm.
yeah, and in terms of mentorship, it's always super beneficial if you can create long-term relationship and continue this process, even if this initial mentorship program had some time bound. If you can continue and talk with those people who were your mentors and use their advice down the road, it will be great.
Great, thank you. So the next question is, how do I know if a mentorship or coaching relationship is something that I need or would benefit from? Are there people it's not right for? I'm going to start with Martin for this one.
That's an excellent question. So from my perspective, people who face new career challenges or transition into a new career could highly benefit from a mentor because they can share their experiences, their do's and don'ts. Or another scenario would be if you are stuck in a position in a career path and you have the feeling, hey, no matter what I do, I cannot progress and come to the next stage. These people can help you, mentors can help you then to overcome these deficiencies and say, hey, during an interview, you should like show mock-ups or UI interfaces if you are allowed to share that. And it's a great opportunity to learn from others' experiences and mistakes in an attempt to improve in your career, with your product, things like that.
Awesome. Great. And then Alex, what about you? Perspective on the second one.
So I don't think there is people who will not respond to mentorship. It's just finding the right relationship and the right people in both sides. It requires some chemistry, that requires some common interest, and it's okay to rematch with mentoring, trying to find someone else. You need to be very comfortable with the person that is mentoring you and your mentees on the other side as well. That should be kind of two-way street, and both sides can really enjoy this relationship and benefit from it. I enjoy learning from my mentees as well in many occasions, and there is now also some new concept of reverse mentoring. Then you are taking people fresh out of college and pairing them up with people with 10, 20 years of experience, and allowing those fresh graduates to teach something new for us old folks.
I love that idea. I have not yet seen it at a place that I've worked at, but I commend anyone who would take that on. Awesome. And then one last question for this section, and I am going to throw it to you again, Martin, if you don't mind. So once I've established that I would benefit from a mentor or a coach, how do you suggest that I go about finding one? What advice do you have? I mean, obviously, all of you have participated in the BPMA mentorship program, so if you'd like to talk about that a little bit, great. But if if someone isn't accepted to that program or can't commit to it or what have you, or missed the boat, any advice for going about starting this process?
It's a good question. Thanks, Henry. So from my perspective, it starts with doing your homework. So define your goal or define your goals that you're pursuing with this mentorship. So for me, I want to transition to a CPO position. This is my overarching North Star and goal. And from there, I derived, okay, what are my areas of development? And they can be, for instance, figuring out the right product strategy, or how do I collaborate better with my internal stakeholders like marketing and engineering? What could be good strategies and frameworks to help me make decisions? And I think it really depends on what's your overarching assessment that should help you find the right mentor. And from there are a lot of great mentors out there who could help you advance. And from my perspective, you have to find the right mentor. Just as an example, if I would be connected with a mentor from aerospace, this would be perhaps a good conversation and a very inspiring conversation, but it's not relating to my field. So you really have to consider, okay, what career paths, what skills make a good mentor from me. And yeah, then I basically looked at all the possible networks that are available to me, like LinkedIn, BPMA. I used my industry contacts to really figure out who's available and who would be willing to like take on a mentorship and who is a good mentor by the end of the day. Yeah, and I also attended a couple of BPMA events where I met people in person and then could like dig a little deeper into their product management philosophy, on what projects they are worked on, what projects they basically work on currently. And yeah, this brought me to a great mentor who also works in the education technology space, who has broad experience in software development and how the product development lifecycle works. And I really participate from their experience and mistakes, which helped me improve my career and propel my product management skills.
That's great. Thanks, Martin. Yeah, it's a great point about doing your homework too, and just kind of coming in with an intentional mindset and having thought deeply about who a good match would be for you, both industry wise, personality wise, but yeah, thinking about like, what do you want to get out of this? What do I want to get better at? All good points. Okay, so I thought it would be useful to do a little section 2 on what a mentorship or coaching session looks like. So for folks who maybe have never done this or maybe didn't have a great experience, talking a little bit about like what actually happens when you have a session. So some of the kind of sub questions here, or the main question, what should I know when entering into a mentorship or coaching relationship? So for example, how long does the relationship itself typically last? What kind of commitment should I expect to sign up for in terms of time, money, preparation? And then how will I be paired with a mentor, coach, or mentee? So I'll start with Melissa for this one.
So I can talk about kind of both the mentorship and the coaching side, since they're a little bit different. So for mentorship, a lot of the mentorship programs that I've seen run 3 to 6 months, right? And you meet with your mentor or mentee maybe once a month, maybe a little more frequently during that time. And it's usually like an hour a session. And in order to get the most out of it, which I think is an upcoming question, but it's a little bit more time to kind of do any homework you discussed last time, or prepare, or set an agenda, figure out what it is that you want to talk about. And then pairing is usually by hand in some of these programs, of trying to figure out, or through some sort of algorithm, right? That the mentor should have more experience than the mentee, and maybe they're in a similar industry, or whatever the criteria are. For coaching, which I would define as a paid relationship with a coach, it lasts as long as you want it to last. I have some coachees that are going on 2 years plus, that we've been meeting 2 or 3 times a month for that whole time. For those also, right, preparing what it is that you want to talk about, doing any homework, I think the preparation is very similar. The money part, actually, I found that a lot of times a company might pay for a coach, especially for somebody in a higher level position. But there are definitely people who pay out of pocket. And then as far as finding, a coach, they're unlike a mentorship program when you enter and they like find you somebody. If you want to work with a coach, it's a little bit of research, or word of mouth, or trying to figure out who your friends have used. So yeah, I think that was what I had to say.
Thank you. And then I was also going to ask Alex if you have a perspective on some of these questions too, or maybe a slightly different experience, or.
Yes, let me try to expand on some of those. So from my perspective, the best mentor will be mentor for life. That's people that you will maintain a relationship with for a long, long time, and will never hesitate to call, message, and ask for advice. If you are part of the program, like BPMA program, most likely your mentorship experience will be time-bound. It can be a couple of months, usually not less, be less than a couple of months. It would just make no sense to start working with mentor. That's relationship that need to build for some time. In terms of the commitment, it's very personal, especially with mentor. And if the mentor is doing it voluntarily, you need to try and find the time that will work for both of you, both mentor and mentee. My advice will be at least 45 minutes every other week, or half an hour every week, depends on the availability. And the best mentoring experience happens when you both know what's the target of this engagement. What are you trying to achieve in your short-term goals when you are working with the mentor? I personally, that I'm working with mentor, and that's something that I learned from the first mentor that I had in this program, trying to always send agenda prior of our meetings and be very transparent what I want to achieve in this meeting and what is the goal that I have in the end of the process. And that's something that I'm trying to teach mentees in the program as well. It helps to set the framework for this engagement and makes it more productive. In terms of pairing, if you can find a good program, it's great. There is number of programs out there that is doing it for money. So there's programs like Product Faculty or Product League, for example, that are teaching advanced level product management as this part of their engagement. They can set you up with the mentor, at least during the time that they are that you are in their program. That's another way. Using your managers from your previous place of work or even current place of work. That's another way of finding really good mentors, or just reaching out to people. Sometimes cold email for someone in LinkedIn who is doing the job that you want to do in your next career step or one beyond your next career step can create a very great experience, mentoring experience, and from virtual coffee it can become a mentorship.
Great. Thanks, Alex. Okay, another question here. So again, getting into sort of the nitty-gritty of what this looks like. What does a typical mentorship or coaching session actually look like end to end if it's done well? And then if you have any thoughts on what it looks like when it's not done well, when things go wrong, or what can lead to a bad session, that would be great too. I'm going to start with Igor.
Sure, thank you. So, in my experience, being first a mentee actually in this program, because I wanted to see how it works before I realized that I could probably help with my experience in different industries as well. So, well, as a mentee, we had a sort of evaluation on a big matrix of my skills, inspirations, and mismatch between what I know and what I should know. So when I started to be a mentor, and it helped me, but my own ideas was also sort of a contribution, but it was a general avenue of seeing, as Alex said, the goals of a person and honest statement what person mentee wants to get out of this program or sessions. Some might want to learn about different industries and see if they could be product managers in those industries, bringing their existing skills. Or it could be in this environment and economy looking for a new opportunity, and then maybe asking specifics of that industry that mentor might know a little bit more about, so to see what kind of skills, tools, experiences, networking would be helpful. So in my opinion, a well done session would be well prepared with those inspirations shared with the mentor and asking questions that mentee wants to learn about in the next session, and it gives opportunity to prepare. And that's what I was asking with both of my mentees, especially my junior one that I had first, what I should prepare, books that I suggested, or websites where on LinkedIn or even on Facebook, they would have some training. Believe it or not, they do. Sort of typical interview questions and good answers, and why some answers that are typical are not that good. So that preparation and preparing agenda. So we both stick to particular subjects and prepare. What, in my opinion, is not so good sessions that are not done well. The sessions where it either mismatch of personality, someone who just doesn't want to hear an advice. I know everything kind of person, but I'm just curious about this program. But other thing is that it was not well prepared. Like no questions asked in advance, so no preparation on term of on a part of mentor how to answer and what to answer, because when you're prepared, you could provide way more information. You have way more time. So that's general my feeling. And when mentor and mentee sort of form a good pair, mentor is knowledgeable in the industry or skills, then it could be very beneficial.
Gotcha. Great, thank you. And then Martin, anything to add to these two questions? So what a good session looks like and what a not so good session looks like.
Igor mostly said it, and I just want to emphasize this again. Prepare in advance, have a goal, ask or list specific challenges or questions you have to bring to the table. Be punctual and be focused. Ask open-ended questions and ask your mentor to listen actively to make sure you're all on the same page and you're trying to solve the same problem. And what I also find very helpful when I met with my mentor is he always gives me so much valuable feedback, and I really sit down for like 10 or 15 minutes to like write down the key takeaways, our next action items. I schedule a next meeting to follow up in 3 or 4 weeks, whatever, to stay in the loop. And then I break down the next or the problem or the task we discussed about and say, okay, within 1 week I have wrote a script for user interviewing. Then I like try to source the interviewees. Then I try to come up with the metrics to really, when you meet the next time with your mentor, have a deliverable available you can discuss. And from my perspective, suboptimal sessions are you don't have a North Star, you don't come prepared, your mentor doesn't listen to you, you don't ask follow-up questions, and most importantly, the mentor always tries to pull you out of your comfort zone, and sometimes it really doesn't feel nice, but it's a little tough love, you know? They do it for a reason. They want you to progress and improve, and you can only do it when you step out of your comfort zone. So be prepared to feel uncomfortable.
Love that. I also like the advice of setting milestones or deliverables. I could imagine a session or getting into a habit where the sessions just become kind of talking, and are you really measuring anything or setting goals or taking steps towards those goals? So that's great advice. And then one last question in this section: how can I make the most out of my session with my mentor or coach or mentee? I think we probably covered a bunch of this in what happens in a session that goes well. But Alex, anything to add to this question that hasn't already been shared?
No, I think everything was already covered. Come prepared, make sure that you know what to expect, set the expectations.
Great, thanks. And then Melissa, anything to add from you too?
Yeah, I mean, that like come prepared has already been said, but Stacy wrote in the chat that somebody who has a fixed mindset might not get a lot out of it. So I think the best thing you can do is to pre-accept the fact that what you're doing might not be the best way to do it, and be open to trying different things, be open to hearing some tough love, and try not to get defensive. If you have a mentor or a coach who's not inside your company, who maybe hasn't been working with you that long, they might not have all the details. So, you know, you may need to kind of explain or elaborate, but I think, you know, any kind of feedback is a gift and think about, there's probably some sort of negative truth in what this person is telling me or suggesting.
Yeah, great point. I think it's interesting too. It's a good, that point is a good case for your mentor not being your manager in coming with an open mindset. And, if it's your manager, I could see feeling like, well, this feedback has ulterior motives to it, or my manager is preparing themselves for, with this feedback for my performance review. Whereas someone who's not your direct manager has no skin in the game, no stake. And so,
and I think that's also a reason for having a mentor or a coach who's outside your company. Because, a lot of times my coachees, a frequent question is like, here's the situation. Is it me? Like, am I crazy? It's not the way things should work, right? And so having somebody come from outside the company be like, yeah, that's not the way things usually work. Like, it's not you, it's the situation. I think that can be helpful too, is sort of like a little gut check as far as, is this normal or not? Is it me? Is it something else? Like, I would like your third party perspective.
yeah, that's a great point. Awesome. All right. And then we'll head into our last section of questions, which is putting on our product lens here. And since folks in the room are either current product professionals, or they've had experience, or they're interested in it, would love to talk about sort of unique benefits of mentoring and coaching for product managers or other types of product professionals. So the first question here is just that. So what benefits can product managers and other product professionals uniquely gain from a mentorship or coaching relationship? And just a note to feel free to draw on your own experiences if you want to illustrate anything. So I'll start with Alex for that.
Okay, so thinking about a specific experience, maybe will come to me. But for product people, since there is no product whatsoever that you can build completely in the vacuum, sitting in a closed room, that's just another way to get feedback from someone who did it before, someone who has a different experience, had interacted with different customers. And for product managers, I always say that group effort is much better than a single head of the product manager, one product manager. So if you can take it outside of the organization, take it with someone who was working with different industries, someone who was experienced with different technologies, you will find a lot of answers for questions you didn't even have thought that you have. And the outcome will be much better.
Love that. Great. And then Melissa, same question.
Yeah. I'm thinking about a typical product team where you have a product manager, maybe you have a designer, and you have like a group of engineers. And so as product people, we don't tend to work day to day, day in and day out with other product managers. Like, we definitely work with other product managers, but I think that having a mentor or a coach for a product manager is particularly valuable because we work mostly with people in other disciplines. And so having somebody to bounce those ideas off of, especially if you're a small company, you're the only product manager, and maybe there's one more and that person happens to be your boss. I think it's helpful. The product people that I coach are mostly kind of product managers at the top, the kind of VP or the director or the CPO, and it can kind of get lonely at the top. So I think that in those situations, if you're like kind of the only one at your company, or those kinds of things, that having a mentor or a coach can be really helpful, to have somebody who like gets it to kind of bounce those ideas off of.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much. And then heading into the last question for today. So this is just a subtle nudge to say, if you have questions for our panelists after this question, we'll head into open Q&A. So if you have questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. So last question here, and I'm going to start with Igor. What specific advice would you give to a PM or another product professional? What would you tell them to consider as they participate in mentorship or coaching sessions?
It starts with a sort of introduction or questionnaire from BPMA asking, in my experience at least, do you have preferences for your mentor or mentee? And then you could say that I'd rather learn about the industry such and such, or I would like to learn about trends, or I would need some guidance about job search. And then it would help help BPMA in finding you most appropriate mentor from the pool of who wants to participate. So it would set the whole that requirement, that expression of needs would set the whole program to success. So, and then specific advice. Well, if you're trying to learn about industry, then ask about specifics of that industry. Maybe matching experiences that mentee already has, or could present, because some are universal, present as helpful to that industry. And it could be based on reading job descriptions for product managers in that industry, what it requires, and thinking, do I have that skill? Yes, I can illustrate that with my experience in such and such company, such and such project. If it is more about trying to get more education on specific technology trends or methodology that is more hot right now, then that probably be a thing to concentrate in the sessions and ask a mentor to provide advice, more information on what is methodology that could be helpful to get certified in, or get experience in safe, scale agile, or Scrum, and so on. So just asking. And then in terms of technology, asking what in particular industry they use as a platform, what they consider as a good experience, knowing particular platforms, tools, and so on. Doesn't mean that tools really help in everything other than knowing what you need to and using them as such, as tools. And if it is about job search, then to be specific about your goals, that you want to be more senior in product management organizations, or you have a good startup experience and you like it, or you dislike it, want to join bigger corporation, what kind of experience do you need? And there are organizations that could help, like Toastmasters, public speaking clubs that are either corporate specific or just in most of towns they have that. It helps in the communication in public presentations, which might be helpful. Either you're looking for new industry or new company. So things like that, to learn from your mentor about experiences most related to you, to learn about industry or methodology or trends, or how to advance in job search, especially in this environment. And just for job search, to check just opinion, outside opinion about, is my resume looks good? Are my skills on camera look impressive? And is my presentation skills, am I presentable? And what skills I need to concentrate on right now. So that sort of specific guidance, if you wish, for your mentor could be helpful. So mentor could be helping you more. That's what I would think would be a good coaching sessions or mentoring sessions rather.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I love the suggestion of explaining what type of feedback you want from somebody. I think that's great advice across the board professionally, but in a mentoring session, it's great too. And then Martin, last word, your thoughts on this last question here.
So I think my advice depends a little on what do people like get out of their mentorship program and where they are in their career. I think what it boils down by the end of the day is, as a product manager, we're gamblers and we're like trying to figure out where or on what should we bet on. And I would really advise using product management best practices, like use data that is publicly available, or you can share from your company to make decisions. One could be, okay, I want to measure how sticky my product is. So how can I measure that? Is the KPI I'm pursuing, is this effective in measuring that? And we're also customer advocates. So I would definitely always center my thinking and my solutioning around what is the best user experience, and helps me realize my company's goals, the objectives. I think this is very important. And my mentor asked me, why should companies hire product managers anyway? And I think what we're bringing as product managers to the table is really a strategic thinking that says, okay, we're following the trends, we're following the data, and we believe confidently that in 5 years, there will be flying cars, for instance, and then really help an organization implement this vision. And I would center my mentoring about these exemplary product management best practices.
Great, thank you so much. Last section here, we had 2 good questions in the chat, so I'll try to maybe just ask for one person to share their perspective on each, and then we'll wrap it up. So first question, can you give examples of what kinds of goals people have for mentorship or coaching in PM, and how measurable do you make them? I love this question. Anyone want to jump in? Yeah, Melissa.
So actually, I jotted down a couple of goals that I've worked with people with recently. So, for example, I'm a first-time manager and I need help learning how to do management things like performance assessment, resourcing, and hiring. My company is transitioning our business model from unit sales to SaaS, and I need help navigating how to change our product strategy. The sales team comes to us all the time with random requests. How do I create a process that reduces the noise and context switching? How do I convince my manager this isn't the best way to work? I want to be seen as a product leader, not just a subject matter expert. How do I position myself in my company so that people can see my product management skills? Those are just like some examples of something that's, not a one-time question, but also not necessarily like a 3-year thing. I definitely advocate, like I think Alex said, that or maybe it was Martin. It's great if you can have a mentor kind of over time, and these questions will change over time as you work with somebody. But those are, I guess, some examples. I don't know if anybody else has other examples.
Yeah, those are great. Thank you. Yeah, Alex.
Yeah, maybe I can add to it that it's always a good practice to create SMART goals, and preferable something that you can measure. One of the examples that I had, then I was seeking for advice for the mentor, how to get myself more familiar with AI and work that other PMs are doing with AI. I put a clear goal that I want to get involved in at least 2 technical groups, discussion groups, based on the information I will pick up for this particular mentor, and that's something that was achieved.
Great. Thank you. And then the last question from Evan was, have any of the panelists tried peer mentorship platforms like Chief for Women or Sidebar.com? Anyone familiar with either of those? All right, well, if you
Really,
learn,
I haven't tried them.
yeah.
There's also one called Supra that I know the founder of SUPRA. From what I hear, they're great as far as, you know, meeting like-minded people, but I haven't participated in one.
I would love to, maybe in the survey, nice segue, if folks have suggestions for good resources on mentorship and coaching that they want to share with other participants, feel free to drop them in the survey. All right, we have just a couple minutes left, so I just wanted to wrap up and say first, thank you so much to the panelists, Melissa, Igor, Martin, and Alex. You all were wonderful. Thank you so much for your perspectives and lots of great advice in there. So thanks for your time today, and thanks to everyone else for joining. A couple of quick resources. We have links here. Main takeaway, I will be sending out a follow-up email to everyone who registered with a link to this recording, a link to this deck, which has some links on this slide, and a link to the survey. So keep an eye out, check out some of these resources if you can. We have our website in general, the events page where we'll be posting upcoming events. The mentorship program, we actually have Stacy on. Did we still have Stacy? I should have introduced you at the very beginning, but Stacy is our director of mentorship, the mentorship program, among other things at BPMA. So she's a great person to know. And then our membership page, if you're interested in learning more about BPMA membership. And then the last link here is a link to the survey. It basically asks you, it's like 3 questions, you know, rating the event today, any feedback for improving for next time, and then really importantly, what topics do you want to learn about for future events? So we'd love to hear your opinions and hopefully incorporate them into upcoming events. But thank you all so much again. And again, thanks to the panelists. You all were wonderful. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks to Hillary for organizing.
Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Good to see you. Bye.